Tom from Sum 41 and Gob, who is a bird watcher now. We got to the first venue of that last tour and our bus had broken down. So we fly and we've got all of our luggage.
We were shit-faced. I don't even remember most of it.
This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just a couple of guys in a band that you know. Some rockstar dads who started a show. So here's the next episode.
Welcome everyone to the Rockstar Dad Show. And it's me, Jaret. Gary's here. Hi, Gary.
How you feeling today, man? You sound a little not energized.
Do I? I don't know. I'm tired, but I shouldn't be. But I got to tell you, I'm glad you asked that because, this is not at all an advertisement. But, Mother's Day and Father's Day are right around the corner.
Okay.
And I'm having a coffee right now. And I got this cup for my birthday.
Oh, you told me about this.
This thing is crazy. It's called an Ember. And essentially you charge it by just setting it on this little circle, like it's your iPhone or whatever. And then it's got an app. And you just tell it like what the temperature you want your coffee is, what you want your coffee to be. And that's just what it does. So it cools down to wherever you want it to be and then just stays there, or it heats up to where you want to be and just stays there. So I was going by, we had talked to Kevin from Lit about this, and I think our buddy Casey Fisher was talking about it too. You at Starbucks or whatever, Starbs, you can get kids temperature, right? Which is 130.
Just learned about this. That's like mind-boggling. I had no idea you could do that. Amazing.
Me either. And that apparently is like just drinkable coffee, right? So when this first gets in my cup, it's 170, right? Jesus Christ. It's like 25 minutes before I can drink it.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time, how we make a coffee and then have to wait half an hour before we even look at it and then just chug it.
This thing just cools it down in about 6 minutes or so. I should have just said 5. I don't know why I said 6. I think I was trying to make it more, like it was an exact science. And maybe it is, but this is my second time using it. And anyway, so I set it to 135. And it's actually surprising because you sort of are so used to and trained that like once it gets to the good temperature, you really only get a few shots at it.
Yeah. Before
it gets to that, first of all, I realize a lot of people like iced coffee, but we can all agree that just lukewarm, sort of like cool-ish coffee in your cup is fucking gross, right?
100%. Like if it's supposed to be warm, it should be warm. I get it. Iced coffee is a thing, but that's supposed to be cold. Like there's the coffee that's supposed to be hot that you wait till it's room temperature is gross.
Yeah. And so the thing is that you find yourself grabbing this thing 10 minutes later, I don't know. There's something subconscious about it because I'm not paying attention to it, but I'll drink it and it'll be shockingly delicious and warm.
You get a nice little surprise.
It's a surprise.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I just made myself this, a nice tall cup of Joe. And so I'm trying to get energized, Gary.
I saw whenever we jumped on that you had your coffee, and I knew that you'd been up in the office for a while, and I was sitting there in my mind going, there's no way that's going to be a delicious cup of coffee. It's going to be cold because he's been up in the office for a while.
See, you're right. And you were dead on. You were dead on, Gary. Because had I brought this up with me when I got here, this would just be sitting. Because here's the deal. I don't leave coffee cups up here, but your friend Rob and my wife, Casey, they do. So there's 3 or 4 around here because I haven't cleaned up.
I think the cool thing about this, though, is you told me via text message.
Yeah.
Where we type notes on the phone back and forth to each other.
Yes.
That you had gotten this thing and you told me all about it. But whenever I saw you on camera just now, I didn't even think about it because it doesn't look like a space-aged coffee cup. It looks just like a coffee cup. So I had no idea. And so I think that's kind of cool that it just looks like a coffee cup.
Yeah.
But then I've got mixed emotions here because now it's just another thing I'm going to have to remember to charge. And then there's another charger taking up a space. And I'm not naysaying.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. I'm definitely in, but it made my mind go to have you seen the Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode where Dennis takes a mental health day?
Somebody was just talking about that episode. I'm sure that I have, but enlighten me.
Well, he's taken a day off, and through this day off, he's getting all worked up because everything is more complicated than it should be.
Yeah.
And no one's doing their job right. And, it's just everything. He's getting all worked up instead of relaxed. But one of the spots he goes to is multiple spots he goes to, they're like, well, you have to use this app. And he's like, I don't want any more apps. I've got so many freaking apps.
Yeah.
It made me think of that. But I mean, I can totally see that once you get it set up and you got your 135 temperature, you're just going about your day after that.
Now, here's the thing. So it is a little space agey. You're going to be able to see this. People that are listening won't, but look, a light. And here's what's great. When it's on the charger, you can change the color of this so you know which one's yours.
So you can have multiple in the household.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. What I do, and this is fucking insane, I go ahead and rinse it out when I'm done with it and just set it on the fucking charger.
Yeah.
And then that way, it's just ready for me next time.
Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense, right?
Yeah, but you're right. It does take up another USB, and it needs a place to be, right?
Right. Everything has to have a place to be, but it's a charger, so you're not putting that away in the cupboard unless, I guess, company's coming over or something.
Yeah, you're right. That's the thing. But I did consider this, though, for the bus. And I was thinking, why couldn't we just have our, because it's me, you, and Rob, and I believe and maybe Dave participates from time to time.
Yeah.
And I think Rob said Edo has been participating at times with coffee time.
All the crew guys do coffee in the morning.
I know, but I'm just saying, during our time,
right?
Yeah, they're already working. We can't be bothered to start working that early.
Yeah.
And but anyway, I was like, they could just be lined up really nice.
Yeah, I like it. Let me ask you this about coffee, because you mentioned iced coffee a minute ago. Do you have, first off, do you even have any interest? Do you have any of iced coffee? Have you tried it?
Can't do it.
Okay. I've tried it once. Whatever. I think a lot of people put cream and
they make it
up.
They make it a milkshake.
There you go. Yeah. But for me, just in my mind, I can't even think about an iced coffee in the morning. To me, I get it as an afternoon drink. I still don't like it personally, but I can wrap my head around that.
Sure.
But I don't want that in the morning.
Yeah. So my thing is this. So I realize that I've dabbled in coffee really since we started this show. I'll go through times where I'm drinking it or I'll have it every once in a while or whatever. Then I won't. I'm pretty much in now. I'll get it. I will say that 8 times out of 10, if I'm going to Starbucks for Casey, I get a tea. But there's those 2 times now where I'm just yeah, fuck it, I'll just get a coffee. But I do on the road with the country band now, if we're stopping 3 times during a day, probably the 3rd time I get a coffee, it's midday kind of thing. But I'm still not most of the time a first thing in the morning guy, but I would consider myself now. I guess I can't. What I'm trying to say is, I guess I really can't say anymore that I'm not really a coffee drinker. I'm certainly not a coffee connoisseur.
Yeah, you're not a coffee snob by any means.
No, I don't give a shit. In fact, wasn't it somebody the other day, JR, I believe, was JR from the other JR from Less Than J, was talking about how shitty Starbucks Pike is. He was like, it's the worst fucking coffee in the world, and it's this and this and this. And I was just like, yeah, I don't even like coffee enough to know that. I drink it. It's fine. It just tastes like coffee to me.
So Starbucks coffee is not my favorite. I'm not necessarily a coffee snob either, but it's not my favorite. And anyone that I know that likes coffee, it's not their favorite either.
Right.
But my my thought on that is no one goes to Starbucks for coffee. They all go get milkshakes, like you say.
Milkshakes and stuff like that. Or, but again, you can go there and get, I assume, I guess an espresso is just a coffee that isn't watered down. You just want the caffeine right now. Is that?
Yeah, it's like super concentrated. So it's only like an ounce or something of liquid, but it's the amount of caffeine that would be in a cup or maybe even more.
And that's all a coffee is just with water added to that.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. And then if you add milk to it, that's a latte.
Yeah, man, you are getting in on this whole coffee thing. You know it all.
I don't drink any of those things. And the thing is also, like, I can't remember orders. I pride myself on having a pretty good memory. You know what I mean? Like I remember, and right? Like I remember events real well, what people were wearing and shit. But if somebody tells me their coffee order, I can't do it. It must be texted to me because there's so many variables. It's almost like how like translating from, well, I guess it makes sense, but
well,
go ahead.
Most people's coffee order is like my wife's order at any restaurant.
Right.
Most people's coffee order is some crazy 15-word long something or other.
Yeah.
And whenever I go to Starbucks, especially, I just go, can I get a large black coffee? And they look at me like, I don't know. Do we have that?
Do we sell that here?
Yeah. What the fuck is this?
First of all, the word large doesn't exist, sir. Yeah. But that's the thing, right? Somebody will give me their coffee order and then like, I'll go through the thing. So it's like okay, I'd like a cinnamon swirl latte, half calf, decaf, the splash, blah, 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 ding dong. Okay. Right.
Bells and whistles. That's all I got.
Right. But then the person comes back to you and goes, do you want that hot or cold? And you're like, I don't know. And they're like, do you want milk or water? Okay. What size? Okay. Like you've got to include all of that. In the thing. And people don't do that. They just assume, because nobody thinks about that shit, right? Like, it's like if you were to order a burger from somebody but they went to a place that actually cooks burgers, you're not going, oh, just get me a cheeseburger. I'd like it medium.
The thing is, people are coming from giving you the directions with like their frame of reference in mind, right? Mm-hmm. So they're just giving you all the details that they specify for their drink, but they already know all this shit. And so what I mean by that is it's like whenever you give someone actual directions on how to get somewhere, you can be like, from I-35, go left and then go down 3 miles. Well, shit, man, if I don't know if I'm going north or south, like... you just said go left from I-35. Yeah. That's two different directions.
Yeah. Yeah, you're so right. It's such a weird concept too, giving people directions to places, like even the shortest of directions these days, you will overcomplicate them in your head. Cause like the other day we were in, oh goodness. We were in Hull. We were in Hull, United Kingdom. And we got there the night before our show or the day before. We spent a day off there. And so when I woke up, everybody else had sort of been to the hotel and put their bags in and stuff. And so I caught Edo, our sound guy, on the way out of the bus. And he goes, do you want to go to the hotel? And I go, yeah. And so he starts to take me one way. And then our monitor guy, Rial, goes, wait a minute. He should just go this way. It's way shorter. And then Edo goes, oh, yeah, you're probably right. Go out this gate, take a left, and go down about 3 blocks, and it'll be on your left. And I'm like thinking, wait a minute. Am I supposed to go out this gate, like to the road and take a left? Or am I taking a left out this gate because there's still a building to go around? You know what I mean? And it's like, man, my head can overcomplicate some shit when it comes to directions.
Yeah, 100%.
Man, and especially in a foreign country, because you have zero, like you can't go, it's across the street from FedEx, because that's not there.
In a different country, it's completely different. That's why most days on the bus in the UK, whenever I come down, or other countries, wherever we are. Whenever I say come down because in the UK we have a double-decker bus and the bunks are upstairs. So I'll come down, and if no one's there and I don't know where to go, that's when I just make a coffee and sit in the lounge and wait till someone that knows where they're going comes, and like they're gonna grab something from their bunk and go back, and I'll go, I'm gonna walk in with you.
Yeah, that's so. I will do the same thing unless I really need to go to the bathroom. Then I'm like, somebody needs to come get me.
Yeah.
Like immediately.
Yeah.
And then, and then that does sometimes happen. One time very recently, do you remember we were in, was it Maine or Boston? Somewhere where we went into the wrong place. Because Dave told us to go into the alley and go into this back door, and the door was open, and it was right where he had dropped the pin.
Yeah.
But we didn't go one enough. And so we were just in some business that obviously was, people were there, but we never ran into people, and we got fucking far into the place.
Yeah. Wasn't that Baltimore?
Baltimore. That's what it was. Yeah. And like the further we went, the more terrifying it got. Like as a grown man, I was just going, man, this is just wrong. I shouldn't be here right now.
Yeah, this isn't where we're supposed to be.
At all. Yeah. And so then when we found the right place, I almost pooped my pants.
That was one of those, like, it was it's a big city. So the building address, multiple different doors had the same address. So there's like Unit B and Suite C and, all this different stuff. So we went into the right address. It was just the wrong door and Dave's like, why didn't y'all go to where I sit? You were like, we did.
Yeah, we did. We were just, and the door, again, the door was open. I mean, maybe the fresh cut vegetables should have thrown us, but I don't know. We don't know if there's a kitchen, in the venue. There were just like corn stalks, like piled on the ground. Remember that shit? It like smelled like, smelled like garden. And that was the day that we ventured out. It was a nice day, and we walked down, and we went into to what we thought was just going to be like a pub, and it was like really, really nice. Like all of our food was like, it was delicious, but it wasn't like what you stumble out of a tour bus and go get.
It was delicious. It was more of a high-end lunch than we normally go find.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right. This was during the time that our tour bus was broken down, and so we were vanning everywhere. And I guess it didn't really make any difference. We'd be wearing the same shit. Yeah. But we all walked into this like fancy restaurant that we were thinking was just like, a pub. And, we're flip-flops and sweatpants, and they're just like, what are you guys doing here?
Oh, and we all look like shit, too, because, again, riding in the van for a week, and, we're just very weird sleep schedules for us, and even weirder for the crew. Poor guys. We were talking about that the other day, about how I was just talking about dressing rooms and about how, like, I'm okay as long as it doesn't get to be like, once it's too crowded with stuff, it gives me a little anxiety, and you're really good about just, you sort of like, you scan the scene and then you're like, I'm going to the bus. And I am more of a like, man, once I'm inside, I tend to try and stick it out, like stay in and, get my bearings, get my computer out, whatever. But we were talking about how when we got to the first venue of that last tour and our bus had broken down. So we fly and we've got all of our luggage for 2.5 weeks of touring, which we would not have brought if we would have known we were going to be in a van.
Like 12 people's worth of luggage and everything.
12 people's worth of luggage because part of the people had been on the broken down bus. So they're already there. You and I and Rob fly in. Marco flies in. We fly in. And so everybody's luggage is just piled in this dressing room, plus the fly gear shit that, it was just a goddamn mess. And like walking in there, and there was plenty of room until that stuff got in there. And then I just sit down and I'm just like, I am fucking so anxious right now. And then it's just like, hey, we're not going to have a bus for about a week. And it's like, where does all this stuff go?
Yeah, that's not the most fun day, like it wasn't bad, but it was just like the anxiety of like, what are we going to do? And,
I think that was the thing. Like, and honestly, the van wasn't that bad. It
No.
was really just more the I mean, those weren't drives to do in a van, and the poor crew guys having to drive. But then also, again, you bring different shit. You know, like
you bring different shit whether you're in the van or the bus, but also, like you said, it wasn't that the van was that bad. It was more the sleep schedule, because we're not getting to the hotel till 2-3 o'clock, and then we're having to get out of the hotel at 6 a.m. to start driving.
Yeah.
And so you get a couple hours in a bed, but then you're trying to sleep in a van, and that just sucked.
Well,
But
that and the again, not having you don't. It's a different charger that you bring, but then also like you've got way too much luggage, so that can't go in there, and it's just a whole thing. But I don't know.
On that trip too, I'd like changed my back. I was going to try a new backpack system. It wasn't that I changed the backpack, but like I brought different shit, and I had a game plan, and like it all went out the window day one. And I was just like, shit, what do I do? It's not my normal stuff.
Yeah. Damn it. Straight to hell. I mean, but all in all, I mean, I like when Bowling for Soup is in the van for a couple of days. I mean, it is kind of fun. And, I mean, but again, it's like, I think the other thing that I was going to say, I got lost in what I was talking about earlier, because I got frustrated with myself again for not having the right chargers and shit. But the other thing was not knowing, when we were switching. So it's just like, okay, is it another day on this? Is it another day on this? And then all these different scenarios keep popping up. Well, now we need a guy to drive from Do y'all know a friend that would come in and drive the van from South Carolina to New York for us so that we can blah, blah. And it's just like, what the fuck is happening? Like how God damn it. Well, Gary, I'm awake now. Let's take a break. When we come back, let's talk about some shit,
All this talk of coffee woke you up.
Oh man, I'm now that's the thing though, is I'm not normally a second cup guy. I one is usually plenty. And I think that's going to be one of these times, but I do drink iced tea, and you're the one that told me. I never knew this. Iced tea has more caffeine than coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Which my ticker probably fucking hates, but
well, there's a fun fact for everybody.
Yeah. Good for you guys that thought you were doing something by switching to iced tea. I could probably drink decaf iced tea, actually. I mean,
Is that a thing?
Yeah, that's a thing. I mean, I probably, but I mean, I'd have to like make it at home, and that seems fucking stupid.
Yeah, you're not getting that out and about.
No, yeah. I mean, also, you can get, that's the thing too, is that all of the prepackaged teas, like if it were to be in a decaf thing or whatever, like an iced tea kind of sitch, they flavor all of it, and I don't want that. I just want regular. I don't want mint, lemon, sweetened. I don't want any of that.
There's nothing worse whenever you say like unsweet iced tea at a drive-through specifically, and you get it and you drive off and you take that first sip and you're like, this is like Kool-Aid.
It's so frustrating. And I know a lot of people would turn around and go back and swap it out.
Yeah.
But to me, that's just such a fucking waste of time. Plus, I'd have to talk to somebody.
Yeah, I don't got time for that.
I don't got time for that shit either. So I'm throwing it out, and I'm just pissed.
Yeah.
Most of the time, if that does happen to me, I have a bottle of water in the car. So I dump it out, keep the ice, and now I just have an ice water.
With like a hint of sweet.
Hint of sweet. All right, guys, y'all hang out for a minute. We'll be right back with more Rockstar Dad Show. Y'all listen to this. Welcome back to the Rockstar Dad Show. Don't forget, we air every single week on Adobe Radio at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Mondays, and then again at 9 p.m. on Tuesdays. So you can hear it there first. And then, but don't fret. On Wednesday, actually at midnight on Tuesday, which is actually Wednesday, but man, does that get confusing. We drop to all the podcast apps, and you can listen to it literally anywhere you want.
And video on the YouTubes, Facebooks, all those places.
Video,
like, subscribe, comment.
And get this. We have 6 years worth of episodes you can go back and listen to. And we have had some monster guests on here. Some of the best interviews I remember are, and one of them more recently was Ken Block from Sister Hazel. That was a fascinating interview. And what I find so cool about talking with dudes like that is, like, for some reason, I don't really know why it's like this for me, but like, because they have different experiences, because like when we talk about Warped Tour or whatever, that's sort of foreign to them.
Yeah.
But that band is probably done whatever. I don't know. What tour would Hootie and the Blowfish do? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm sure they were doing that circuit with a handful of bands,
right? So
summer to summer. Yeah.
Yeah. Like our buddy Edwin, and like Hootie and like all of those bands were probably all doing their own thing. And then that was their deal. But it's always fascinating to me how close our experiences are to even bands outside of our genre. Like if you take out, stories of like crowd surfing and slam dancing and hot summers on Warped Tour or whatever, it really, everything else is kind of exactly the same.
It's the same truck stops, the same venues, the same hotels, the same, bar or restaurant around the corner from this venue. Yeah. Same airports. Yeah. Same shit.
It's fascinating that we all, go through these same experiences, and you have, and it's always fascinating too, to me, to like, as guys get older, how they navigate that, cause I think with a lot of other bands, they're not partying as much. And so they're trying to find other things to do to pass their day. And one of the most fascinating for me for that is Tom from Sum 41 and Gob, who is a bird watcher now.
Yeah. Whenever we were hanging out and visiting with him after the show at when we were young, we visited with him for 10, 15 minutes. He went his way. And afterwards I was like, God damn it. I meant to ask if he got to do any good bird watching in Vegas.
Yeah. He had recently spotted like some kind of bird that like is a really big one for bird watchers. Like if you can find it, and I find stuff like that. So there's the guys that just, oh man, I get up, I go find a gym, or I get up and I go find a coffee shop, or I get up and I go find, but we've had guys, we had a guy on the road with us from that band. Oh shit. What the fuck was that band's name? We weren't there, the Shark Attack band that we toured Asia with.
Yeah.
And one of the dudes, the guitar player, was from Oklahoma, and he carried around this pack that almost looked like he had a bow and arrow on, all the time. And it was like, if that guy's anywhere we went, no matter where it was, if there was a hole in the ground and had water in it, that dude was fishing, And I just thought, man, that's just it. I love shit like that. Like I love when someone has something like that they can, that and that's how they pass the time. And it's just always so fascinating because, we watch Bar Rescue and drink beer.
Yeah. Do you know that Ian, who works for us, he doesn't have as much free time, but whenever he does have free time, like he's in all these magic groups, and he'll find like a local club, and if we have a day off, he'll go play a game. But like there's towns where he goes and like meets people and trades cards and shit with them.
Yeah, it's wild. Now that guy is a one of a kind. The band was Safety Suit, by the way.
There we go. Yeah.
You don't hear much about them anymore. To be fair, I hadn't heard anything about them before that, but whatever. I did. Now, here's what's funny about the Ian thing, our guitar tech, and by the way, if you see us on tour, he's the guy that looks like me, that like when he walks out on stage to start getting the guitars ready, it confuses the shit out of people.
It's such a funny thing though, because like, all of us know you and know him. Like I never saw it, never put it together. And then like when it started happening, like, okay, I can see it, I guess.
Yeah.
But it happens so much. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, we dress the same. We both have big black glasses and our hair sticks up, and we're, bigger dudes. And, it makes sense to us. But that guy will on a day off, just go rent a car and just go driving around, and then, or he'll go play Magic the Gathering. But he also like cruises local Craigslist ads. And on the last tour in the UK, he went and bought like a broken MacBook that the guy told him the symptoms of it, and he got it for dirt cheap and just carries computer tools with him, I guess, and had that thing taken apart and working by the time we went on stage.
Unbelievable.
I mean, that is like, and he set up all our shit, tuned up all of our stuff, changed our strings.
Never missed anything.
Yeah, I mean, it was just what a day, you know. What are some of your favorite? One of my other favorites was interview wise was Mark McGrath. That was a fun hang, and really liked talking with that guy, just about life and music and stuff.
Yeah, the you hit on it for a second. Edwin McCain, like him and Ken both are just those dudes that, like, you know, we hadn't met him before we did the show, but just sitting there and visiting, you're like, man, we could be best friends. This is great.
Yeah, Edwin is such an interesting one. We text all the time and just fuck with each other on the internet and stuff. And I just watch his content, and you're right. It's just he's just a dude that we could hang out with. Chad Daniels, the comedian, was the same. Like, that guy was just like, he even said it. He was like, man, if we all lived in the same city, we would hang. And so I love shit like that, where you just really hit it off with somebody and just in a conversation.
There's a couple that were just different speed shows, and one we did a live after a show in was it Pittsburgh? I think it was Pittsburgh with Matt and Roger and Chris from Less Than Jake, and you know, I think we were all a little sloppy and had a lot of fun on that one. And then, you know, here's a fun interview. It's just you and me after a golf tournament, and we were shit-faced. I don't even remember most of it, but I keep on getting, you know, a lot of the times people will tell me that that's their favorite episode.
Oh, yeah, that was a big one. And, man, you go back to that one that we did in Pittsburgh with Roger and the guys, and that's really, you know, we had known those dudes for so fucking long, but we had never sat down and just had a conversation with Roger, like, you know, and that's really where our friendship with him began, which, because with the other guys, you know, most people probably don't know, but Matt from Less Than Jake was our backup tour manager before he was the drummer for that band, because he was their tour manager. So if we didn't have one, he would go and tour manage us and run front of house. And then, of course, you know, Chris is sort of like the outgoing one of that band. And so we had obviously spent a lot of time with him, but, you know, that was really where our friendship began with Roger. I'm so glad we did that too, because it's so nice now to be close with him. And cause he's such again, I'm overusing the word fascinating, but I do find Roger fascinating.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, we've all been fascinated and somewhat intimidated or whatever. And it wasn't until that interview where we're like, oh, okay. He's fun and talks, and okay, great. We're friends now.
Intimidated is a good word. I think you're right. Like, we were all a little bit like, we really didn't understand his personality, because it was really more, he's not like his stage persona at all. Like, that is one of those dudes where he is like, that guy isn't like that. He is so chill, like, and his voice is just super soft, and he's just, you know, he listens when you talk, and, you know, that kind of thing. And he's and then he's just on stage and he's just a ball of fire, you know?
Yeah. I think, though, we shouldn't sell short Buddy and JR. You said Chris is the outgoing one, and he's outgoing in a different way, but those dudes every day come by and hang out and have a drink and visit. So, you know, we're good friends, and they're all special people.
For me, though, that really started once we started touring with them, though. You know, like, I think in the Warped Tour days, we would say hello and all that stuff. But that's when I got to know Buddy, that same tour. And then JR, I knew JR because of, like, Warped Tour and stuff, because he was involved in all of it, but hadn't really gotten to be close with him. But you're right. I was talking with JR this week, and one of the things about when we're on the road with those guys is JR comes by our dressing room for about an hour each day. He just sits down, and we all just shoot the shit. And
it's great.
It's great. It really is. And it breaks up the day for everybody. And
it's kind of a funny thing, though. Like, there's a lot of times where we're in the dressing room and there's just hours to kill, right? And so it's kind of a weird thing where you have hours to kill, but we all kind of get in our groove of what we're doing, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so a lot of the times when someone comes in to visit, we're all just kind of like, not in the visiting mood right now, or I'm in the middle of this or whatever, right? But whenever he comes, it's always just like, this is the highlight of the day. This is great. We're going to stop doing that, and it's a great intermission from the monotony of sitting in a dressing room for hours.
Well, yeah, and I think also like he knows what it's like to tour. He's just such an interesting dude because he's just and he always has something to say. And it's different from what we would be talking about. Jamie Jasta from Hatebreed was a great guest as well. Super good. And then Constantine Morales was another one that I really enjoyed. That was cool getting to know that guy.
Yeah.
Man, we've just had some really, really great guests.
We've been going for like 6 years now, man.
It's
Look
so
at us go.
wild. Oh man, let's not forget we had BJ Barnum from American Aquarium right after he started all the shit about the all the companies taking merch sales. And that, God, you realize that's been almost 2 years ago.
Yeah. And I mean, that has changed shit for the industry.
It really has. Yeah. I mean, it's certainly, what we won't know whether it's long-term or not for a while, but he certainly, got us a stipend and some gift cards.
Man, I wonder how many. Well, I was going to say, I wonder how many of those gift cards don't get spent. Because, like, if you give people gift cards at Christmas, like, they go in a drawer or they get lost. But I guarantee gas cards given to bands get fucking spent.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that you have to find a Shell station.
Right.
But here's the thing. I just realized this the other day. I've got this stack of these things. And there's a Shell station literally the intersection by our warehouse. Like it'd be so easy to use that. And, but yeah, that was very, very nice of them. You can use it, but you could also use it for beer.
I was going to say, we're going to go get all the beer and churros you can handle.
100%. Yeah. Which is fucking great. That's very nice that they did that. And then, but yeah, I don't know. I was just wanting to walk down memory lane a little bit. I guess we could take another break. Let's come back here in a little bit and let's talk some more shit.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with more Rockstar Dad Show right after this. Y'all listen to this. Welcome back to the Rockstar Dad Show. And man, what a day we're having. It's fun to hang out with you.
Yeah, dude. We actually got to hang out in real life a couple weeks ago at your birthday.
Yeah, that was a good one. Good
birthday.
And
I had a lot of fun getting to visit with your son for a few minutes. He told me all about his plans of life and business domination that he had. You'd kind of filled me in on that, but it was interesting getting to hear it from his perspective.
Jack is going to be a millionaire, and that's just sort of, and like how he gets there changes from time to time. But I had lunch with my little brother yesterday, and he goes, Jack's going to do that. You know that, right? And I go, yeah, I know. Like he's whatever he decides he's going to do, he's going to be successful in it because that kid has drive and he has a confidence about him that is, that is pretty cool, and he's learning to navigate that fire that he has within him, which is good. But yeah, man,
he's at that interesting age. And I think I see what your brother's saying. Like he's driven and he has that and he's like confident, like you said, but he's at that age where I remember being that age and not knowing what the fuck I want to do, so it's just he has that confidence. He just needs to figure the path and hit it.
That's what he does, man. Man, kids are just so awesome, and I'm so proud of my kids, and my older kids text me every day. And that's all I could have ever asked for. That
was the other funny thing about being at your birthday party. You and I were sitting in the kitchen talking, and we both kind of looked over at your daughter holding court at the kitchen table, and it was just like a little, 21-year-old female version of you.
Yeah.
Just hands ablazing, voice all high, everyone, cracking jokes, and everyone's paying attention to every single little word.
That's what she does, man. She just can do that, and she just demands attention, and it's funny. And she's just like me. There's a switch, and she just decides she's done, and she's just done, but she's, I'm glad. Did you get to meet her boyfriend at all?
Not vaguely, very briefly.
Yeah.
Very briefly.
He's a good kid.
I didn't
we really like him. And man, Everett is starting junior or what they call middle school, I guess, here. And gosh, it's so different than when we were kids, the intake and all of it. When you're in sixth grade, you you're doing all this stuff with music or with athletics and all of these things where like everything is preparatory, for the next few years.
Right.
And it's pretty cool to see, basically they let everybody dip their foot in, that wants to, and pretty cool. But like even he's doing theater and choir, and each of them is only a semester, so he gets to, again, see what he likes and try some new things, and that's so cool that kids are able to do that these days.
Yeah, Tyler's in 7th grade now, and 7th grade's about to be over, so he's about to be going into 8th grade. But he's loving percussion, and he's all about it. He's been baseball forever, but now, like on the way to a baseball game, he is like, "Have you ever played a 16/8 time signature?" Like he's just all into music now. It's unbelievable. But it's also off season for football and all this stuff. So he is in track right now. He's throwing discus. And yesterday they had a early morning practice, so I had to drop him off at the school at 7. So he had 2 hours before school of discus, and then first period is athletics. So I had 3 hours of track and field and throwing discus, and then I had a full day of school. And we picked him up and went to a baseball game yesterday. And this morning I woke him up and he's like, "I am sore all over."
I'm sure he is, man. We talk about that all the time, like how just being a kid, you're so resilient. And like, even when just little kids just run everywhere,
Yeah.
and you just watch a kid, "Hey, go get this for me." And they just run over there and get it. And you're like, man, I would be exhausted if I just ran everywhere like that.
Yeah. So last night at Tyler's baseball game, he's playing, of course. Mia's there with us, and behind the field, like where we're sitting behind it, there's this playground, and around the playground is a concrete, walking sidewalk type thing. And there's this little girl on roller skates who's just doing laps around the playground, and Mia just running, doing laps, talking to her the whole time. I'm like, oh my God, she's going to be so exhausted. But
yeah,
it's freezing cold outside. Is like 42 degrees or something, whenever the game was happening last night. And she's running over to us after doing like 10 laps. And she's like, "Can I take my hoodie off? I am burning up." And everyone's just laughing their head off because it's freezing cold outside.
Man, fucking kids are crazy. Oh, yeah. Man. Yeah. Yesterday, every once in a while you have the thing where it's just like, I will remember what it felt like when I was a kid and this kind of thing would happen. But Casey forgot about baseball. It happens. We're busy, and so he had baseball last night. Everett did. And so I was about to leave to head home from Dallas, and I go, "Hey, I can handle baseball if you want." And she's like, "Oh, I forgot about baseball," smiley face. Well, when I get home, apparently Everett also had forgotten about baseball. Uh-oh. And had made all these plans with his friends, and was like, "Yeah, they're already on their way to the park." And I'm trying to text them and tell them, and I was just thinking to myself, man, remember back in the day, you'd make some plans at school that you didn't have any way of telling them that you weren't going to show up, and it's just like he's calling and texting his friends and stuff. But anyway, the ride to baseball, I just remember that feeling of being like, "Yeah, I know it's my responsibility. I signed up for it. I get it." But he really wanted to go to the park with his buddies, and gosh, it's funny to watch them experience those things, in the exact same way that you did.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny thinking about back being the kid and like having the plans. I'm supposed to meet everyone there, and then we didn't have cell phones. And so, whatever it was, if you'd forgotten about practice, or, you're supposed to go, but your parents get home from work and they're like, "No, we're going to dinner with grandma tonight," whatever it is, right? For some reason, you're not going to go meet your friends. And when we were kids, there's no way to communicate that.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, you just wouldn't show up.
Yeah. So your friends are like, "Oh, is he okay? What happened?"
Right.
But they're still going to go do whatever. They're not searching for you. But.
Yeah. At the same time, yeah, that's just it. You just sort of were used to that. Like, yeah, well, such and such didn't show up. I wonder what the hell is going on with that guy, And
I saw a meme the other day. It has nothing to do with the not showing up, but it's like the most perfect meme for people our age. And it just, all it said was, our parents had no idea how far we went on our bikes.
Oh my God. Yeah. I've seen that. And you're so right. Like it's crazy because, at first it was like, hey, just don't cross any highways. But, that they didn't say that for like a year. So I just, whatever. I mean, hadn't heard that rule in a while,
I just don't think my mom had any idea that I could go that far. It's just, I'm going to be gone for the next few hours and okay, go have fun.
Like you'd be like,
I'm on the other fucking side of town.
Yeah. Like you'd have you'd have a friend that like lived right on the outskirts of your school district. And it's like, yeah, fuck it. Let's do it. Let's ride over there and see what's up.
Yeah.
And, you're so right. They had no, and not only that, but like what we got ourselves into, like crawling in dumpsters and shit, like I was thinking about that because where I lived, there was a bunch of stores around. Like there was a grocery store that became a Michael's, and we had this thing that was called Gibson's, which was like a pre-Walmart. It's like a Walmart, like a understudy. And, you'd go dig through their trash cans and just find shit. And that was like all the time.
Oh, yeah. So a week ago or so, Mia had a program like open house kind of thing. And like she had an art project. It was a thing, right, at her school. And it's the elementary school where Tyler went to. And so he went with us to go see her thing. He didn't want to, but he did. I'm like, she comes to all your shit. You're coming to this.
Yeah, totally.
And we get there and he's walking around his old school and you can just see him like, having some nostalgia, some flashbacks, having some feels,
Yeah, totally.
But one of the things he's like, I just remember all this stuff being so much bigger. And I'm like, dude, you've grown 2.5 feet since you were here.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. Like he was walking around telling me all this shit, And so we were walking out by the playground and he was like, oh yeah, we used to get balls stuck on that thing. And I'm looking at it and it's a 1-story building and the roof is sloped and there's not like a gutter or anything that it would get caught on. I'm like, how the fuck are these kids getting a ball stuck on this? I have no idea. And that gave me a flashback to whenever I was in elementary school and we would get balls stuck on top of our gymnasium, which is like, how tall is a gymnasium? 3-4 stories?
Yeah.
And we'd fucking find a way to climb up there. I remember being on the roof of our gymnasium in elementary school. We are different fucking generations.
We are definitely different generations. I mean, there was definitely higher risk, much less reward when we were kids. But I mean, son of a bitch, man, was it fun? I mean, just know it's, I would leave on my bike shortly after daylight and I had to be home by the time it got dark. And that was it. Like you had no plan where you were going to eat lunch, or if you were going to eat lunch or any of that, man, you were just gone. And I mean, shit, sometimes we're very lucky. We set a couple of fields on fire and shit.
Oh yeah.
And, definitely, I do think about that kind of thing all the time. Like, had I got in trouble for this or that, would it have changed the course of my life? But you know what I mean? Because it was like at the core, I was a fairly good kid, but we all did stupid shit.
Oh yeah. That you're right though. That was like the beauty and the fun and the amazement, like, because you're going to set out, but you don't know where the day is going to take you, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go to Fountain Park Pool, meet my friends, but I'm going to be gone all day. So we're going to be there for a couple hours. But then, I don't know, we're going to Kyle Sargent's house to go shoot BB guns in the field behind his house, or we're going to go over to this neighborhood and play football in the park, or we're going to go over there and go to I don't know, like it could be anything, right? We're going to go to someone else's house and they've got a cute girl that lives next door and we're going to go be stupid. You know?
Sometimes you fit all that in one day.
100%.
And then you'd get into like the thing where you do that, you'd have the same you'd do the same thing for a couple of weeks, be like, okay, now it's time to do this and it's time to do this. And man, it would be like somebody's mom would have just gone to Sam's Club and you're just like, dude, we got a full thing of frozen corn dogs. Let's go fuck those things up. And off you'd go,
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. So now like I'm remembering all that fun that I had and I'm like, Tyler, don't you want to like go walk over to Cody's house or, a couple of neighborhoods over? Like, don't you want to go do something? No. Can you drop me off can you go take me to the baseball field? I'll just run around with her. 100%. I will. I want him to go have fun with friends, but it's like, I've got to drive you there, you can get there.
Man, I'm so lucky because we live next to a park, and, and Everett has gotten to where he will go play, and his friends are all to the age where they can all go there. And so they meet there and I honestly have no idea what they're actually doing, and I don't really care.
Yeah. I mean, as long as they come back with, all fingers and toes and eyeballs, and there's not a police car in the driveway whenever they get home.
Exactly.
Go have fun.
And we ask, like who was there? Like we're making sure there's not like older kids starting to show up, or what I mean. Like there's, he's a really on it. He can't lie, and so that poor kid. Like I was such a liar. And this.
I think back to that age though, like we were all liars, but were we just better at it?
Yeah, I think so. I think we were, because I was fucking I mean, I was so good at it. Like it was unbelievable. Could look them right in the face. I didn't do that.
Yeah, but I mean, we could at least come up with something believable.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah, there was definitely, and maybe that's just it. They're just not experienced. They just don't have, that gene, in them, but they're, I guess they have different superpowers than us.
Whenever Tyler's trying to pull a fast one over on me, and he's like, how do you always know? And I'm just like, oh, I always know. I'm always gonna know.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm like, I'd never tell him like, you're just really bad at this, know?
Man, Casey has this thing, and I think I have suspicion, but I am just like I mean, let's be fair. I'm just not the disciplinarian with Everett. And, and so a lot of times I just sort of let little hints of little things slide. He can't get anything past his mom. I mean, nothing. It is wild. Like she knows, I mean, in the morning, she can look at him and go, did you sneak your iPad upstairs last night? And you're really tired right now because you didn't go to bed when it was time to go to bed? And he'll go, and she'll go, think about what you're saying. She goes, I can get on it and just look and see if you were on it, right? Like, and blah, 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 and and then he just comes clean, and one day I sold him out one time because I was like, a purchase came through for Roblox at like 1 a.m. I'm like, well, that's weird. And she's like, what? I go, well, I got to purchase. I guess it's just like a delayed email. And she goes,
yeah,
no, it's not. She was like, and he was at his grandparents' house. And then, so he comes home and she's like, were you up until 1 o'clock in the morning on Roblox last night? Well, Papa said I could charge my phone in my room, and I can't not be on it if it's in the room.
Well, he's honest.
Yeah, little crackhead kids, man.
That's funny. The spoiling the grandkids these days isn't like, I made chocolate chip cookies and let them have 5 of them. Right. It's like, go ahead and play with your iPad in your room.
Yeah, you're so right. Like, go ahead and stay. I don't give a shit what time you go to bed.
Right?
It's that kind of thing. Which that was the same at my grandparents. I mean, we didn't have to go to bed. We made a tent, and
it was
in their living room.
So like, it was different though because we didn't have the iPads or the phone. Like, okay, I'm going to stay up until TV stops.
Yeah.
Once it goes beep, like, okay, I guess we're going to bed,
And you're like, God damn it.
I mean, at that point, it's like, we're going to build a fort, but get bored and go to bed.
Yeah. We always built a fort at my grandma's house. And I was so lucky because those were times where my older brother, like, actually, he's 5 years older than me. When I talk about this, I get it. I'm sure it sucked having a brother 5 years older, 5 years younger than you a lot of the time. But when we would do things like build a fort at our grandma's house, it was fucking awesome because he had 5 years more experience at it than he was like a contractor,
Yeah.
And man, we could fucking fill that. Literally, there'd be sheets covering the entire room. And then, down inside that thing and sleeping in it. And my grandparents would let us leave it up all week. And it was just the best. Man.
From the parent side of things, it's fun to see that. So Mia and Tyler are 6 years apart. And, he's into sports and she's into dolls, so they don't have that much in common. But there's times, most of the time, they just push each other's buttons and know how to make each other go crazy.
Sure.
But there's times where, Tyler chases her around the house, or they both played Nerf guns, or, we're at dinner or at a park or something, and they're just going to run around and have fun. And it's just awesome to see those moments, even though they are 6 years apart, that they can also have fun together.
It really is. I mean, I've got to say that's a big thing about Jack and Emma is they're 3 years apart, and growing up, that was the whole thing, is like she basically, like all older siblings, she wanted him around when she wanted him around. When she didn't, it was like literally just cut the cord, and like the kid would just be like, really upset and bored and wanted to be included, and she'd have a friend over and he didn't because she's older, and all the shit. And but they just got so close, like you and your sister, in adult, in getting towards adult age.
Yeah,
they're super close. I think as they've grown up, it's interesting. I think it sort of ebbs and flows, like how close they are depending on like what stages in life they're in, because he's 18 now, so he doesn't really depend on her as much. And
right.
there was like a really big point when she was in high school and he was in in junior high and starting to get into high school stuff, where he was dependent on her for rides and things like that, and it really got them to be super close.
Yeah,
but still, it's you're right, it is awesome to see their connection as a parent. I love it so much. And then when Jack comes over and he gets Everett in a headlock, and now Everett's going to be able to beat the shit out of him in probably a year. My son is Everett is 11 and Jack is 18. And the other day, Everett gave him a piggyback ride, and was just carrying him around the house running. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, Jack knows not what is coming.
Yeah, 100%. The just wait, one day he's going to be bigger than you, is going to catch up.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it does happen. I mean, my brother felt the wrath of that shit. He was always taller than me, but football does wonders for a little fat kid.
Oh man, yeah, no shit. It's so funny. Last night at Tyler's baseball game, afterwards, the coach was talking to him, not just Tyler, the whole team, and he's saying, high school's right around the corner, and we're getting y'all ready for high, blah blah blah, yada yada. Because they're all 13. Next season, fall season is the start of 14U, which is the last age before you go to high school, and then it just becomes summer ball. There's not spring and fall, and so they're getting ready for high school. But it's just so funny because Tyler is man-sized. He's 5'10", and most of his team are still 6 inches shorter than him or more. So it's funny looking at what I think are these small kids, and like, these kids aren't going to high school, but they're all going to hit that growth spurt that he's already hit. So, in the next year, they're going to catch up with him.
It's crazy though, how you see that, you don't notice your kid as much as other people do, but it's the same with their kids. Like, I'll go, a few weeks without seeing one of our friends' kids, and then I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like, what happened? Or like, there's a neighbor kid that, I don't see for 6 months, and then all of a sudden he's driving, and like he was, just riding a little scooter around the other day. It's that kind of shit's weird. I mean, that you just change so much at that time. I guess that's growing up, like Blink-182 said.
Yeah. Weird.
Maybe that's just growing up, Gary. And you know what? We're growing up. You know what? We got to get going. We'll be back next week with more Rockstar Dad Show. We are making an effort to make sure that we're having new episodes out every week, and I think we're doing a fine job at that. Thanks to producer Jack. Y'all can follow him on WhatTheGleeson. And, of course, you know where to find us. Rockstar Dad Show, whatever. Y'all, go give us a good review. Follow the show wherever, and send us an email if you want us to talk about something, or a Facebook message.
Yeah.
And I think that's about it. That's all I got today, Gary.
We did good. Good catching up. And really looking forward to this Canadian tour, and coming back and learning an entire record. But also even before that, while we're in Canada, we've got to figure out what the fuck kind of beer we're going to drink.
Oh my God. Man, you really threw me for a loop on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Can we import our I wonder if you can we should actually figure out what's available up there. But
well, we had stuff that we used to like the last time we went up there, but I mean it's been 15 years.
I know, but also Gary, you got to think we were way more experimental back then. That's like we were younger and we would like drink Fat Tire when we were in Colorado and we'd drink Carling when we were in the UK and shit. Like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, I agree.
We used to drink
that's why I'm saying like we got to figure it out.
You and I used to drink Grolsch.
I mean, that's not whenever we were in the States. No,
side, I'm saying, but still, you just fucking make it. It's so nice to go to Japan where you just know there's a beer you like.
Yeah. Asahi and Sapporo. They're both great.
Fucking great. Yeah.
And sometimes Rolling Rocks just appear in your bathroom in the morning.
All ice down with no melted ice and man, no recollection of how they got there. Maybe one day we'll piece it back together. All right, we got to get going. Thanks for listening to the Rockstar Dad Show. Y'all be good.
This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary.